This year, were there any threat groups, attack patterns, or regional trends, as you also mentioned, geopolitical conflict crisis going on in this report that really stood out to you as an outlier?
I think that we've been talking the last 3 years really around a lot of the stuff going on in Europe. A lot of the shift in DDoS attacks is due to that in Europe. But this year, what we saw was really a shift to the Middle East. And so we saw, pro-Iran hacktivists, both isolated and coordinated DDoS attacks dramatically increased, uh, going after banking payment systems, again, focuses you just talked about on APIs. So we've really seen a dramatic increase in the second half of that. You have the kinetic war where there's physical stuff happening, and then you have that cyber war where there's these digital conflicts happening, and that's the biggest increase in threat that I think I would call out in this report for finance. The second is for region, so Europe, Middle East, really it was layer 3, 4 DDoS attacks, that infrastructure. Pacific, Asia, there we saw a lot more layer 7. Uh, we saw, a 52% increase in layer 7 against application for DDoS. And then North America, it was at API, web page, or web attacks. We saw a 44% increase in that layer 7 attack, not against DDoS, but traditional traffic. So those would be the things that are worth it. There's a lot more detail in the report itself, a lot of great graphics. I encourage people to go to Akamai, SOTI, SOTI, and you'll, as soon as you get to our threat page, you'll see all our state of the internet reports, and finance is the one you're looking for.
Were there any special topics in this edition of the report that kind of deserve more attention from security leaders, the topics that either we have been seeing or topic we just emerged?
So the one is we had a guest columnist, the CSO from FSISAC, so Financial Services Information Sharing Association. They're one of the most well put together, strongest ISACs out there, and so we had a guest column from him, well worth reading. We talked a little bit about this move towards where we're building all these large language models, these agentic AI models, and how to think about that. Some of it's around, how responsive do I need to be? If it's me talking to pick a model, Perplexity, ChatGPT, pick a model, just having a discussion asking about, where to get the best disc golf game in, because that's my hobby. I love to play frisbee golf or disc golf. That kind of conversation, it doesn't need to be fast. But if it's agentic AI making a decision or a large language model that needs to be really responsive, then that requires different infrastructure. Uh, in Akamai, we call that the inference cloud, where you're focused on speed. So we talk a little bit about how to think about where you're buying your cloud infrastructure and what kind of a security stack you want to associate with that. And so the second thing we talked about was, again, we talk about things like OWASP. This one we talked a little bit more about MITRE. If you don't know, MITRE just came out with version 19. They split the defensive evasion tactics into two different ones, stealth and defense impairment. So it's worth kind of thinking through when you talk to your SOC, how is the best industry model, in my opinion, on threat modeling? How are we thinking about that? How should we update our SOC defenses and our analytics based on this? Is it something we want to pay attention to? Um, there's now we've talked before about the attack framework, which is against enterprises. They now have the Atlas framework, which is against AI inferences. And as always, MITRE has a great section on threat groups where you can tie a specific threat group, APT, pick your number, and what methodologies they use, which is great to use with your red teams.